Hi, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. We're on another Zoom call today, and we're looking ahead to the weekend, a big weekend of club activity. You would have seen our piece with Alan Gunn, Stephen Harbour and Ger McCarthy during the week, and we're now going to talk to two people who will be right in the thick of the action at the weekend. Sharon Courtney from Doneghmoyne and Monaghan is up on my top left-hand side of my screen. And down the bottom, I've got Maureen O'Donnell from Termon and Donegal. Ladies, how are you today? All good?
Great, yeah.
Good to have you on.
Great, thanks for having us on.
No problem, Maureen. You're more than welcome. My pleasure. Maureen, I'm going to kick off with you, Maureen, because you sent me a couple of wee notes about yourself, right? 14 years you played county senior football. 17 years you played county in total, including underage. Sharon, I say you would be far off these numbers as well. 32 years playing club football, and you played 2 summers in America. Maureen, so where do you want to start with all of that?
I don't know, it's very hard to go back. It's such a long time, to be honest. But I was just thinking there, 32 years playing club football. I started playing when I was 8 years old, but of course, in the end days, I was playing along with the boys.
Okay.
So there's no such thing as having an all-girls team. It was nearly, maybe I was probably 13 then when I branched into the county scenario, like playing with all girls. So it was great then. That was, I was really looking forward to playing, in a full girls team, because the boys, of course, although you develop well as a player, like when you're playing along with the boys, because it's strong and it's tough, and and I suppose that helped me in the early days. And then I was playing under 16 county when I was 13, so it was probably coming from playing with the boys that helped me at that stage, and then broke into the senior team. Then when I started playing minors, I was playing minors, and I was playing seniors, and I was playing club football at the same time. So there was a lot of activity at that time, and there was also the possibility of getting called away to play for Ireland as well. But my heart was in the GA, so I stayed off it. And I talk about retiring every year now. I'm back now playing in nets, so it's a little bit easier on the legs, to be honest, because I don't have to do all the running that the girls have to do out the field, so I can deal with that. But it's a totally different position, being a keeper, and my hat goes off to all the keepers out there, because it's such a nerve-wracking position on the field, and you never think about it until you're actually in that last line of defence. But like I say, I suppose I should be nearly retiring now, 41 this year. So it's nearly time I started to hang up the boots. But I get a lot of stick because every year I say the same thing, that I'm going to retire. And I think they're tired of hearing it now at this stage. I got a link there yesterday evening from one of the girls in the team about a fella who went into nets and saved the team. He was 72 years old, but I said, God, I'll be dead at that stage. So there'll be no chance.
So we'll have you on in about 30 years' time, and for the latest county final that you're in, right? You'll be 72 and still in nets. Sharon, how are you? Sharon, you've had is your experience quite similar? Did you start off playing with the boys in school and moving on on a similar pattern to Maureen there?
I'm just not as old as Maureen, so there was girls teams around when I started. Gotcha. So, although I did actually play with the boys as well, I would have played. There was underage in Donaghmoyne, so the girls team was there, but a couple of us would have branched out and played with the boys as well. And then look, it's Francie Coleman, who is our current manager, has been manager of Doneghmoyne ladies all the way through, and he would have took all the teams at one stage. So actually, myself and Linda and Hazel and a right few of us broke into the senior team when we were 13 years of age. So we've been there since then. So that's a long number of years too.
A terrific career. I mean, you're going for 18 in a row in Monaghan, Sharon. Have you been on every one of those teams?
Yeah. So I was just thinking back earlier, we said we're 14 years. We were all starting on that team, so it's mad to think that there was a 13-year-old. There was myself and Linda at 14. I think Fiona then was 15. Joanne Gagan was 16. And Amanda 17. So all those girls were all still playing. So there were many I named there, 7 or 8, were all still playing, and we would have been there 18 years ago. So we were probably lucky that a good group of us came at one time.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And a large number of Ulster titles as well. I think it's 12, and All-Ireland winners on numerous occasions as well. So it's been a terrific run. Sharon. Alan Gunn doesn't see you being stopped on Sunday, he says, but at the same time, it's Saturday, isn't it, your final?
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be streamed live in the Monaghan LGFA Facebook page as well for viewers, just to let people know that, because whenever Emmy Vale and Donaghmoyne play, it can be quite tasty, Sharon. I even saw you playing a sevens game, and it's the rivalry is there for all to see.
Look, it is, yeah. I suppose, look at the last, I think they're up senior Monaghan maybe 10 or 12 years, and they've kind of been the ones that run closest to us. There's never much between us, and I think when you're playing each other, like within the county set or within the setup for the championship, it's us that knock them out. It's nobody else that generally knocks them out. And then within the league, we've shared the league titles between us, ourselves and themselves. There's nobody else has contested those in the last year. So yeah, there's definitely a rivalry there, but it's a healthy rivalry. Like they bring out the best in us. Kind of mean we don't look too far ahead as we always look within the county. We never take a step ahead because we know that they're very close to us, and like they drew with us one year. Now I can't just recall what year it was, but they did draw with us, and it took us a replay to beat them. And other years there's only been a point or two in it, and can't again think off the top of my head, but it was only 4 or 5 points was in it last year, and the year before was 3 points. So it is tight, so we can't take it for granted. And I hope Alan Gunn is right that we do come out again on Saturday evening.
We'll be watching with interest, and we'll also be keeping an eye on the Donegal final at the weekend as well, Maureen, that you're involved in. Just looking at the Ulster Club Championship, you guys would know each other quite well from that. I mean, there's been finals in, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, 2019, 2015, 2014, 2013, 2012, 2011 and 2010. Maureen, you've got the upper hand on one or two occasions though, which is, you can always have that on the CV as well.
Yeah, listen, I suppose going back to what Sharon says, I'd be hoping Alan going to be wrong there the next day. Nothing really, but Donaghmoyne, like, there's hats off to them, like with the all the titles they have. They're serious running team that are able to go back year after year, and I suppose every team needs another team to aspire to, and we can, and in 2010, and we didn't really know what we were up against because Donaghmoyne were a fairly new team to us at that stage, and we were, I suppose, a little bit naive going into Ulster at that particular time. We were only ever looking to maybe win our county championship for the first time, which we did, and then we pushed on into Ulster, and we just built on momentum that year. I remember we played Derry, a Glen team in Derry, and we beat them fairly significantly, and we thought, it's bound to get a little bit harder after this. And even Donaghmoyne didn't ring a bell in our head at that stage. That's the naivety where we were coming from. We weren't really looking at Ulster football, and little did we know that we were coming up against one of the biggest teams in Ulster at the time, which were Donaghmoyne. And on that day, the commentator on the radio for Highland Radio that day, he had just wrote us off in the last 5 minutes of the game and said that we had put up a great performance. And I think Sharon will agree there, it was just a bit of a shocker on the day. Like, Geraldine got a goal in the last couple of minutes of the game, and we ended up winning by maybe a point, maybe two. I think it was very close anyway at the end, and that was our first Ulster title that year, and that was our first taste of Donaghmoyne and who they were. And yes, every year you go back, you think you want to do better and you want to win it again, and it's just really, really difficult going out in Ulster because every year you're watching for Donaghmoyne coming through. Kerry Crookin's another great team. There's so many good teams in Ulster that are coming through, but Donaghmoyne obviously is a big team, and like it says, we're probably the same in our own championship here in Donegal. Like, we're playing Glenfinnan and Mabullen, maybe the top two teams, and you seem to be up against them all the time. And as Sharon says there, they do bring out the best in you as a team. So those challenges are very good for us at an early stage, or any team going into Ulster. You're well set up going into Ulster then as well. So
absolutely, there's household names on both teams there. I mean, will you be tuning in to the Donegal final as well if you can, Sharon? You'd know all about Geraldine McLaughlin, Karen Guthrie, Yvonne McMonigal as well, Yvonne Bonner as she is now. There's class right through those two teams, and there's certain Maureen O'Donnell as well for Termon there as well. So you got to keep your eyes on that.
Yeah, there's a number of good big names there, and it's definitely going to be a good game of football. No, it's not something I actually would go and watch the opposition like that. I'd obviously keep an ear out, and You definitely do see the results, like particularly at the LGFA have been tweeting results out during COVID recently. You would have seen a lot of club results that maybe you wouldn't have seen previously. So you can keep an eye on it that way, but no, I'll not be watching it.
You've enough on your plate with everybody else's do.
I don't want to see them.
Yeah, well, it's the same for us. You know, I think there's a fear factor when you're watching other teams and seeing how they're performing, and sometimes you can get a little bit too deep into their tactics and stuff, and maybe it's better sometimes to just concentrate on your own team performance and things like that. I think you can get bogged down too much in looking at other teams, and as a player anyway, I think that's true.
Maureen, I'm going to ask you this question in a second, but I'll put it to Sharon first. Sharon, the level of consistency that you've shown over the years, I think Alan would have mentioned maybe that one or two come into the setup every year just to keep things fresh. And while the likes of yourself and the more experienced players have won multiple medals, for some coming in, they might be only winning their first or second, so they're really hungry and fresh. So a double-barrel question, how important is it, first of all, that freshness comes in every year to keep it like that? And secondly, where do you and the more experienced players get that drive and determination to come back and the hunger to come back every year?
Oh, God, where do we get it? I don't know, to be honest. I think it's just bred into us. People think that winning comes easy to us, and it definitely doesn't. We've done some serious training down through the years, and particularly in the early years of our championship, we would have done the most horrendous type of training. And I think that work rate and that hunger was just bred into us, and it nearly is second nature to us. And I listed those group of players that have been there for this being the 18th year, but there for the 17 championships. Like, it's just second nature to work hard and to keep fighting to the end. So that's just bred into us. And then for any of the younger girls coming through, within the club we do train, our minors always train with us, so they kind of just have that. They're used to training at that higher standard, so when they come into the team then they kind of want to follow through on it. There's also a fear too of letting the side down. Like, we're on that record, and when there's a record there, you don't want to let that record go. Now obviously it's going to go sometime, but when we're still going strong and we're good enough, we want to keep at it. And when those young girls come in, they do just the feed off it, and they all want to impress as well. Like, and we've a B team this last number of years, and our Bs are very strong. Okay. So the girls that push on the Bs, they know if they show well, they're gonna get into the senior setup, and that's what they all want. And because when you're training, why not want to be training at a high level? And you know, it's all. I know we don't say it's not all about winning; it's about the taking part and everything. And it is. We have great crack along the way, but when you are winning, it is that much sweeter. So I think when we have that good run, everybody wants to keep it going, and the younger girls included, that when they do come in, they want to push on.
Well, they're coming into a setup which is the culture is extremely strong and has been built over the years, and they're coming into a setup with a winning mentality as well, Sharon, and that's important. So I'm sure when they come in, that they absorb things straight away, and that they want to put their own imprint on the setup as well, and prove that they're worthy of being there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we've the same management team, the same trainers, the same structures there this last forever. So it is. So any girl that's coming, they know they are going to get the opportunity, and there has been different girls that have stepped into the team, and they know they'll get that chance, and it's about taking it then when you're there. But you know, Francie will give the girls a go if they show, and it is up to everybody to show, and they are getting great training. So if you want to reach that level, you will reach it. Like as I said, if you want to, you'll get there and you get in. And thankfully we have a number of girls that do want to get into the team.
Yeah, it's a super setup, absolutely super. And no more than yourselves, Maureen, and the culture of excellence and winning that's been fostered over recent years. I mean, you will have seen a high turnover of players. You've had a long career. You've seen players come and you've seen players go. How do you rate the current setup in terms of what you might achieve, Maureen, compared to previous? Maybe it's an unfair question, but what kind of a level are you at the moment?
Yeah, well, listen, I suppose football's very different now to maybe when it was 10 to 15 years ago. There's so many different setups, and I've seen that, you know, I've played and trained under a huge number of coaches, and maybe, you know, it's a great thing. There's a lot of consistency going on there in Donaghmoyne, and the same structure, and girls coming into that same structure kind of know. But maybe I suppose with us, we're changing managers every few years, and now I suppose the girls in the senior team have started to take a lot of the girls at underage level, which is a huge boost to the club in terms of, the players that are coming up. They're aspiring maybe to some of the senior players within the setup, and they know maybe what to expect when they come to senior level then. So you've got the under 16s, under 14s, under 16s and under 18s training sort of at the same levels, intensity levels, as maybe the seniors will be training at some of the drills and some of the coaching strategies, because some of us girls are maybe taking those teams, like myself in 2010. I'll go back to 2010 again. I took the minor setup. I coached the minors in 2009, 2010 and 2011 with 3 very successful years, and that group of players would have been very much a big part of the 2010 winning team that won the first Ulster title against Donaghmoyne there in 2010. So you've got the likes of Emer Geller, was 16 at the time in 2010, Nicole McLaughlin, 2 current county players, Geraldine McLaughlin, they were all 15, 16. You had Roisin McCaffrey, Niamh Frail, Roisin Yankee, current, all had their go at county level and are now playing in the senior level with us. And those group of players were coming through at the time, which I suppose was a big advantage for me to go and take those minors. And then that group of minors was also playing with us at senior level. So there was a good bit of consistency from the underage levels, and the girls coming up knew what they expect when they come into the senior level, then knew the intensity that they had to train at, which is, it's very, very demanding for some of those underage players at the minute. Some of them are playing maybe county underage, they're playing club underage, and then they're maybe, some of them, if they're good enough, are with the senior county, and then they're with the senior club. So that's 4 very intense different coaching structures that are going on, So there's a lot to be asked of the young ones coming up now at the minute. But as Sharon says, there'll be the ones that will want to push on and come into the team, and they know what they expect, and they know that maybe, our girls coming up now are looking at, we won the All-Ireland in 2014. They'll be thinking, someday I could possibly win an All-Ireland. It's definitely there, and it gives a lot of hope to the girls coming up, and they want to push on, and they want to train hard, and they want to do the best. There'll be some obviously that will fall away, and it might just be a little bit too much for them. But the players that will give you commitment and know what it is from an underage structure up, they know what it takes, and which is a huge boost to our club. And looking towards the future, I know a lot of girls that are in there at the minute. The team will be around for a little while. I'm probably the oldest member now to maybe leave the team, but I know that there's a great group of players there that'll be around for a number of years, which is good as well. So it won't always last. The winning, as Sharon says, doesn't always last, but for now we build on the momentum and we keep going, and we keep trying to develop the players at underage, so we have certain good players coming through as well to fill maybe slots within the senior team where need be.
Maureen, do you enjoy the coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose maybe coming from the point of view of a teacher as well, I see myself maybe as a little bit of a role model for the kids at underage level. And one of the girls was telling me not so long ago that she plays currently with me in the senior team, but she confessed that she had a poster of myself and Cora Staunton on the wall when she was a young girl. So it was like, really, did you actually have? And she says, I
That's
actually
amazing.
did, and now I'm getting now I'm getting to play alongside you. And you don't hear stories like that, but so I suppose they look up to you. When I took the minors, I was playing senior for a good number of years. I'd been involved in the county setup, and a lot of those girls wanted to push into the county setup. And I would probably be the free taker for Donegal and the free taker for Termon at the time. And Geraldine has now taken on that role maybe in both departments. She's a very, very good free taker, as as well. And perhaps some of what we'd go out, the two of us would go out and maybe train together, and maybe go out practicing maybe an hour before the session, taking shots and taking frees. And I suppose maybe back in those days those players would have looked up to you. And when you go back to coach, particularly at underage, I think you have a huge advantage in the fact that maybe you're playing in the senior setup and they're looking up to you. And also as well, years ago there was a lot of male coaching going on, and the girls underage teams, they love to see the female coaches coming in, particularly people who played for the county maybe, or who played for they're playing in their senior team as well. So, and they love that, and they know that there's someone always there to be able to go to as well. So it is rewarding. I love it. I actually do love it. And it's not always about winning, but for me, I suppose I like the competitive edge that that is. I'm used to that, playing senior football now for Termon and in the county over the years. So I like to drive them on as well, and make it a little bit about the money as well. So it's always about the taking part and fun, and we do have a lot of fun, but as well along the way. But it's great. I do enjoy it.
Well, Maureen, you wouldn't have lasted this long if you didn't have that competitive edge to your game, I'd imagine. And Sharon, Maureen hits on some great points there in terms of the role model piece, and you've been heavily involved in some of our initiatives as well. And we would see you very much as a leading ambassador for the LGFA and what you do. So are you conscious of that role model piece and that giving example piece, especially when I'm just thinking of the Garland twins, and we had them on recently, and they're so well able to speak for themselves and they've got cracking futures ahead of them. Would you have noticed these two girls coming along as potentially very exciting players for club and county for many, many years to come?
Yeah, absolutely. The two Garlands, they would have pinpointed they wanted to play senior football with Donaghmoyne, and pinpointed playing with the county. I remember a number of years ago they were doing water girls for us with the county, and they were hovering outside the dressing room one day, and I says, do you just want to come in? And they says, no, we'll be in there someday anyway. So they were confident enough to know that they were going to be there, and they're there now. But look at the role model piece. Look, I think it's important that any day you go out that you try your best, and to be honest, I'd be trying my best for myself and for the team, and not thinking about being the role model or thinking about what you're showing for the people that's coming through. But when they see it, or if they see it, it's good that that's what they see, that they see you working hard, or they see that you're doing it right, because ultimately that's what you want. So I think it's important, as you mentioned, the younger girls coming into our team. And Maureen mentioned too about the underage and how they train it at such an intensity or whatever. So I think that's a positive for us, that the fact that the minors do train alongside the seniors, because at least they can see us training and see the intensity that you have to bring. And not that we're doing it to be role models, we're doing it because that's what you have to do. And if it has that role model knock-on effect, well, then that's a positive. So definitely those girls being alongside us and seeing it is a real positive.
Very good. Sharon, you've had a busy week. You're back to work.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how that was. How was the whole experience of the last few months been for you, Sharon? We had you on not so long ago. It seems like yesterday, but it's such a long time ago, talking about the nutrition piece, and you're obviously heavily involved in that as well. So how's it been to be back? Is it a 9 to 5, or what's the drill getting settled back into it?
So initially when we finished that, or when the lockdown happened in March, we were teaching online. So I'm lecturing out in TU Dublin and Blanchardstown. So we were lecturing online, and you can probably see, I don't know what the quality of this call is like, but our internet mightn't be great all the time. So it worked best to not teach live. So if we were teaching live, it just wasn't great because the internet quality wasn't great for myself. But it also meant a number of students weren't able to log on live either. So it was a case of uploading the work that they could do it at their own time, or upload the notes that they could view videos or read it in their own time. And we're back to work now this week, and students aren't back for another 3 weeks. So they're not back to the 21st. And the way it's going to work for us is that each year group's just going to be in 1 day a week. So we'll have face-to-face classes on those 1 day that they're in, and the rest then will be taught online. And again, it's at the discretion of the lecturer in the class, whether it's going to be live or if you want to do it asynchronous, so that it's not at the same time, so that you could upload it and students can watch it or whatever, do whatever task at a different time. So it doesn't have to be live.
Such a strange world we're living in now, isn't it?
Guaranteed that till Christmas for the first semester anyway. And then we'll see what happens for the second semester, but it could be the same again next year. It's like anything else, it's a waiting game to see, but till Christmas that's the plan. So fun times ahead.
Okay, wow, it's all changed. Maureen, yourself, you're a teacher also. I mean, how are you doing at the moment, and what has life been like over the last few months?
I suppose the online teaching for us is not as good, because you talk about the internet quality, but that's certainly an excuse that a lot of the students have made up anyway, in terms of getting back any of the work. It's probably not the same for Sharon. She's probably got some good students there, and they're hands-on and they want to learn, whereas our gang, I teach ages between 12 and 18, obviously at secondary level, and like a lot of them just tuned out as soon as the online teaching came upon them.
Miss, the internet's not working. That would definitely be me in school anyway, I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know how effective it was for us, and if we were to go back into another lockdown, it'd probably be disastrous, because we're probably behind a little now on coursework and curriculum stuff, going back even now at the minute. And we don't really know why. I'm in a school of 600 plus students, and you're trying to social distance even at 1 metre apart. It's extremely difficult. We just had 140 first years in there recently, and even trying to keep them, we had to split their lunch times. And so it's the staggered breaks. It's definitely a different scenario for even us as teachers going on, and you're always just weary about how you can pick up this virus as well, and how things are going to go, and what happens, what are the protocols, if someone does get it, and how many people have to be off and tested. And so everything is new to us at the minute, and we're just kind of working in the dark. We're working with whatever kind of sets of rules we have at the minute, and we really don't know. But I suppose a lot of teachers out there would be hoping that we wouldn't go into lockdown, for the simple reason is the online teaching doesn't really work as effectively as being in class with the students. At least you can have some level of learning, whereas when they disengage from home, there's very little you can do. So it's something we're just going to have to see how things go. But in terms of football as well, like that break would have done a lot of players a lot of good. Even the county scenario with them being out for the number of months that they were. I think a lot of players, the feedback is they enjoyed the break, and they did their own bit of training, and everybody sort of did a little bit on their own. And now there's a real hunger for getting back into it. Whereas county players in particular they rarely have a break throughout the year. So I'd be talking to Geraldine there a lot, and the break was just, she gets out and has a cycle and a swim, things that maybe county players weren't able to do, with the demands of club and county. They're now back they're now back maybe and looking forward to a bit of county football, and they're actually loving the club football at the minute, just having that break, maybe because they never get it. So maybe it was a good thing in terms of refreshing some of these players as well. And I see a lot of them now just really looking forward to getting back into it.
Excellent. Sharon, how much did you miss football? And I suppose, what's it like? What's the new reality like to play club matches? Because I would imagine there would be a big crowd at your game at the weekend if things were normal, so to speak. So I'm sure the intensity levels and all of that will still be the very same. But what do you think it's going to be like playing a county final without too many people there?
Yeah, I don't know. It would not be great. I don't think my mother and father here is too happy that they're not getting to go to it. It will be strange, and as you said earlier, there's a bite between ourselves and Emmy Vales. People do want to see it, and it would draw the crowd. So it'll be disappointing that there isn't people there.
So Sharon, I would imagine that people would come from outside Monaghan to watch a game of this magnitude and that quality. I wouldn't imagine it would be just confined to local fans if the opportunity was there.
And look, you're obviously, whoever wins that's going out into playing an Ulster competition. So you definitely would always have somebody from Ulster, with different clubs who come down to see it. One, because they know there's going to be a challenge. Whoever comes out of it is going to be a challenge for them within the provincial game. So it would draw a crowd. So it is quite disappointing that there won't be that crowd at it. But this dream is going ahead, which is great to see. I think that it has been a bonus having particularly all the men's matches you've been able to see, and there hasn't been too many ladies matches streamed. So to see that taken off, particularly this weekend, is great.
It just seems to have exploded over the last week or so with the number of streams, and we get notifications from a lot of counties now that the games are going to be live, and Donegal's one is live as well. Maureen, what do you think it's going to be like? Because I mentioned Donaghmoyne and Emmy Vale, people would travel long distances to watch that game, and you've got a player, you mentioned Geraldine McLaughlin. I think if you haven't seen Geraldine McLaughlin play, we'll just go and see her play when the time is right. I mean, she's just a phenomenal footballer, and people would travel a long distance to watch Geraldine play too.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's great that there's so much coverage around the ladies' games now and stuff, and there's so many more that have been streamed here over the COVID, and Sharon mentioned earlier as well, a lot of the results are up on Twitter on time, and things that maybe need to look at as well in terms of getting the results up. I think I tried to look for a result one, pre-COVID, and it was very difficult to get it. So at least things are going up now on time as well, which is really good. And the fact that they are streaming the games, I mean, whether you can go to a game or not, perhaps there's the possibility in the future now that games will be streamed as well. So it gives people who actually couldn't go to the game maybe a chance to look back on the game as well.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really strange, as Sharon says, with no spectators. I think this is probably the first time in my life that I might have played a game where there's never been any spectators allowed. So that's a big thing. So we played plenty there just when it came in. So there's still a few there was still a few spectators coming onto the grounds at that stage, but because of these county finals now, they'll be very strict probably at the gate, so there'll be nobody in, and only maybe the 40 that's a part of the team, the two teams, maybe 80 in total. So it's going to be really, really strange, because I know spectators can sometimes be the 16th player, as they say, on the day, and they can really boost the team on as well if they're in a bit of difficulty, if it's very close. And then your family members not able to go to the game as well. So it's hard. It's going to be really difficult, but something new again, something for us to experience, and we'll have to just roll with it now on Sunday. We're playing in McCool Park, which is a big venue for a county final as well. It's a big venue for spectators alone, and not one spectator allowed in the ground. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be something we're just going to have to see how it goes, and be very quiet, anyway, apart from our own line and maybe their line. So a bit of change.
Yeah, so I mean, some things change, but some things remain the same. I mean, there's Sharon and Donaghmoyne preparing for a county final, and yourself and Termon preparing for a county final in Donegal as well. Ladies, it's been great catching up with you today. I wish you both the very best at the weekend. It's Donaghmoyne, Sharon's Donaghmoyne against Vale in the Monaghan final, and Maureen O'Donnell's Termon against Glenfin in the Donegal final at the weekend. Both games available to watch on the respective county boards' Facebook pages. Sharon and Maureen, stay safe and stay well, and thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks a million.
Thanks very much, and best of luck, Sharon, at the weekend.
Same to you.
Cheers, folks.